Welcome back.
Welcome back, family. I'm Renee,
I'm Curry.
and I want to say thank you once again to all of our longtime subscribers to hear us out,
Mhm.
and to our new subscribers. Thank you for tagging on and subscribing to our page, and for the newcomers who are here who just finding us, stick around and hear us out.
Thank you for hearing us out. And on our last episode, we began our discussion on anarchy. We
And
began
the
our
values
discussion, the values,
of
really
anarchy and the benefits.
laying the groundwork.
Right,
And we touched on some of the strategy,
right.
and if there could ever be one, you know,
Yeah,
for
right.
something like this,
Yes, that's correct.
So, we really looked at that, and we
hmm
also touched on prefigurative
hmm
politics and touched on that stuff.
hmm
And but now we really want to. I think we even touched on a stateless society
Right.
and talking about that.
hmm
But we really want to hone in on a lot of these points,
hmm
and because it always comes back to that of what do you like, or just
Yeah, what do you want
no. Moreover, it's
and
what,
how?
what does a stateless
With society,
society do
right,
with criminals
right.
or
Yes, it's always the extreme,
more or not even the extreme just the what about what does a stateless society do you know for jobs?
right.
What does a stateless
Yeah, how
society
do I make
do
money? Right,
for
right.
electricity
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that?
Right.
How can it even how does it provide a life? What does it
Mm-hmm.
do? How does it look?
Right.
You know, how would it deal with healthcare? How
Right.
would it deal with all
Mm-hmm.
these things?
Right.
You know, and it always comes like to what does it look like? How does it work?
Right.
What does it do?
Right.
You know, and the answer is that like we touched on in the end of last episode,
Mm-hmm.
is that there is no one
One.
answer for that.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know, I can say what I think it ought to look like,
Right.
right? How I think it should be organized.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing is that in a stateless society, in a
There
truly
isn't.
democratic
Right. There
society,
isn't a one.
yeah, there is no
Mm-hmm.
one
That's right.
voice that is more suitable. And then Lance, I'm not a social engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a politician.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the full ins and outs of everything.
Yeah, but
But the thing is that I
we're trying to derive solutions here.
yeah, I see enough and I
Mm-hmm.
feel that I know enough
That's right.
to be able to, at least be able to theorize
Right. And
about
remember,
how to create,
your
a
voice
future.
does matter.
Yeah,
I think we mentioned that in the previous episode here. It's not about, you know, which which is more. It's just that
yeah,
everyone has a voice here. And so in trying to come up with solutions, well, the politicians have been the ones who have, I would say, quote unquote, failed us. We haven't answered our own call, basically. So
yeah.
so we see so we
But
see
the,
that.
the
So
main point I'm trying to make is I don't know any more about this than anyone else,
mhm,
and I don't think anyone actually has a real idea,
mhm,
a truly concrete idea on what a stateless society is supposed to look like
right,
because it's never really been done, at least not at the level that it needs to be done,
right,
to fix what's going on today.
mhm,
It's never been done.
mhm,
There's been some examples, some that you can see in
right,
particular regions and stuff like that, but on a national level, on a
right,
global level,
level, right.
it's never been done.
Mhm.
So
And I think that's because, I mean, we understand that people stick to their tribe and their boundaries and cultural you know meanings. And so when you say stateless,
mhm,
people automatically think, well, I'm not a part of a quote unquote nation. I don't have an identity. Those type of
mhm.
things. And so I think what we want to do is sort of give some clarity
I have as much
to
clarity
that
as possible,
as
as
we
we could
possibly
possibly get.
right as
and just
right.
and just trying to say that that don't think that there is one concrete solution,
Mm-hmm.
one concrete, look for what anarchy, what a truly democratic society
Mm-hmm.
is. There is no, like I said, there's no unilateral
Right.
answer. There is
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not what I say. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, not what you say. It's what we as a community are
Do
able to,
together. That's right.
come up with. What we're
Mm-hmm.
able to create together.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just what I see.
Mm-hmm.
This is just what I think, but it's not the answer.
Right.
You know, and
That's where
yeah,
we are.
the whole I like we said in the last episode is that anarchy isn't the answer. It's a way to formulate an answer. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, like I say, it's a system of values
Right.
that allows us to create something
Right.
that better addresses our needs.
Needs. Mm-hmm.
As they stand today. All right. So in the last episode, when we talked about a stateless society, we talked about how a stateless society really at its core is a response to this,
Mm-hmm.
in that it is, at least it is a concerted effort to negate
That's right.
and
To do away with.
do away with. I was going to say
Right.
make impossible.
Right.
The existence of
Right.
a system like
Right.
this. Right. And when we say a system like this, we mean the state. And when we mean by the state is that we mean this capitalistic, hierarchical society,
Mm-hmm.
a society you know, that is ruled by a minority of people
Mm-hmm.
with, true actual power in it, with the power to impose
Mm-hmm.
their laws and their views on others through violence and cultural monopoly.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. That's what
Mm-hmm.
the state is, right? And we all exist inside of it. And it's easy to say, but there are no. You're not being ruled.
Yeah.
There are
Right.
no kings and stuff like that. But look, when you see what the world is today,
Mm-hmm. How things are currently
how
constructed. Right.
things are working,
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible to deny that there are the people, a majority of the people for whom the world is just not meant for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's the group that it is.
Mm-hmm.
That is undeniable at this point.
Right.
We say our world is dying. It is literally dying.
Dying. Right.
You know, and what are we doing?
Right. What is it costing us? What is it costing the planet
Mm-hmm.
to maintain a system that we know the results of this capitalistic system. We know the cost of, you know, the lives,
Mm-hmm.
people, plants, animals, you name it, and we know the assured results of that. Racism,
Mm-hmm.
sexism, classism, and all the other isms that is at the cost of maintaining
Yes,
this
you
capitalistic
think
society.
allows you
Right.
to maintain your position.
That's right.
Like we said before, we're here because of capitalist interests.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Literally.
Yes.
And the whole reason why the game is rigged the way that it
Is to maintain
is to maintain
those ill-gotten gains. That's right.
yeah, to maintain their position.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked about before, they often think that that our benefit comes at their cost,
Mm-hmm.
or that what we're doing is we're trying to get over them or trying to put them in our position and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Right.
Even though we often say that, that's not what we're doing, that's not
Right.
what we want. We don't want anyone to be where we are.
That's right.
We just don't want to be here anymore.
That's right.
And we want, to be able to get out of it. But in the capitalistic system, somebody has to be on this level.
That's right. Someone has to be on the bottom.
Somebody has to be on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we say, because like if you flip the coin, it's just
Right.
somebody else. It's going to be somebody else who's taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So to just to do away with the system
All
altogether.
together. Correct.
And the state is that system. It is
Mm-hmm.
that system of manipulation and coercion and oppression that we find ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
And the stateless society is one that refutes and, like we say, negates and makes impossible,
Mm-hmm.
Does away with everything that allows for this to exist. And it allows for something else to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that something else is like we said, a bit open-ended. So let's get into that.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've actually touched on this on the show, on the
Okay.
idea of evolution and revolution, stuff like that. I don't know if we've ever done that. I don't do, but when we've read a lot of books,
Yeah.
recently that kind of tried to create a story for human evolution
Mm-hmm.
on this planet. On the things that have pushed us forward and how exactly we've pushed forward.
Mm-hmm.
Just as physically and culturally and all these things. And one of the conclusions that we came away from was that humanity today is kind of a victim of its own success.
Yes.
In that we've been able to truly, dominate our planet.
Mm-hmm.
We've been able to succeed at a level, hitherto unforeseen before in history.
Right.
Nothing has been able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't
Yes.
we don't truly feel threatened by our planet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We don't feel like there's much left for us to know about
Right.
it and stuff like that. Now, whether that's true or not,
Right.
it's up for debate. It's just how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
That we've outpaced everything to such an extent,
Mm-hmm.
and that's true.
Right.
We have outpaced everything, and it has led to, like I said, it has led to this, right? But this period of our history, even though it has been so costly on the planet,
Right.
it is relatively new. It is recent
Yes. In the grand scheme
in
of
the
things,
grand
you're
scheme of
correct.
things. For a majority of human history,
Right.
it wasn't like this.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, we weren't actively destroying our world.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked ourselves, why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? And I say that it's because we did not have as much as of a technological advantage as we have now.
Mm-hmm.
We've always had that sentiment of trying to outpace, trying to get away from,
Mm-hmm.
Because for a majority of our history, we were subject to the whims
Right.
of the
Nature.
natural world.
Right. The natural world. Right. Mm-hmm.
That's why we came together. That's why we created communities and society to try to create an environment that we can survive in and that we can flourish in.
Right.
But just from a technological standpoint, that society had to exist with everything else. It had to.
Right.
We were still subject to the whims of it, and that's why culturally we still had a lot of respect for these things. Right?
That's respect for nature and things
and all. Yeah, we had to. Because it was still a very clear and present, danger
right.
for our lives. But now we're at a point that we are completely removed
right.
from the natural world. We exist entirely in our own. Now we don't have to, respect nature.
Right.
We don't have to, keep these things in mind. We can move with total unilateral power and assurance of our success in these, in these ventures.
And that's what we've been doing for a short amount of time in the grand scheme of things.
And it's been a short amount of time, but you see what it's
right. You see the ramifications of that. Right.
So we've never chosen to respect our planet.
Right.
We've always just had to.
Right.
But now at this point that we've, outpaced everything, now we have to choose.
I keep going back to the word choice.
Yeah.
Even, looking at, the cooperation that we had for thousands of years. You know, when we didn't have to cooperate anymore,
Mm-hmm.
that's been we see the results of that. Now we have to choose to work together. We have to
Mm-hmm.
choose, just like, I remember one time mentioning, you know, evil is intentional and done on purpose. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
you responded with, well, so is good. Good has to be intentional and on purpose. That's the way we have to
Mm-hmm.
respond. And I feel like, you know, in this true democracy that we're thinking about, the anarchy, things of that nature, that's how we're trying to respond with good,
Oh
basically.
yeah, and it's more that when we look at we need
Choice. Choose.
we our world is dying,
Uh-huh.
and we're dying with it
Mm-hmm.
because of the choices that
Just
we're
make it.
making.
That's right.
No one is innocent in this. We're
Mm-hmm.
all playing a part in our own demise, and
Mm-hmm.
we all know it.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to a certain uh, cognitive dissonance. Everyone's trying to protect their ego,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's trying to protect that little corner of the world that they've been able to build for
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And no one's taking responsibility.
Right.
No one's actually doing the thing that needs to be done to
Mm-hmm.
save our world
Right.
because it's too much. And the too much, it isn't money.
Right.
There's enough money to do whatever we want.
Right.
Right? And money doesn't exist. We can just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying.
Right.
But the cost is it's that cognitive
Mm-hmm.
dissonance. It's that little corner that you fought so hard to have and to maintain that
Mm-hmm.
you won't be able to have if things start to change.
Right.
So you resist it and you fight it and you do all these things because you're trying to maintain what position you have.
That's right.
Right? That's the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you can no longer occupy that space.
Mm-hmm.
But something is going to make that space impossible for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the natural ramifications of humanity's, industrial and technological needs going out of control,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is going to that is devastating our planet.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to that'll make you honest.
Right.
Or you can choose. You can choose
Mm-hmm.
something. Like I said, we don't have any self control.
Right.
Like you can't just bulldoze everything.
Right.
Right? Some pocket of the natural world must exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, with coronavirus. Just for example, coronavirus started in bats,
Mm-hmm.
right? Out there in the natural world.
Right.
Now, a lot of viruses, start off in animals, and a lot of them usually stay with those animals.
Mm-hmm.
But since a lot of that, of the natural world is being,
Gobbled up.
gobbled up by our world,
Yeah.
we're having more contact with these animals.
Yeah, we're living in
which
much more
means-
close proximity,
Yeah,
to them. Correct.
which means that there's a greater chance for these viruses, for these diseases to jump to us.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we industrialize, at greater risk
Mm-hmm.
we are for another coronavirus.
Right. I mean, and we know this. We know the planet. It's getting warmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have viruses and diseases that have been frozen in time for 10,000 maybe plus years, buried during the ice age or whatever it is. Now they're starting to be released because the planet is getting warmer, and you have it's hot in Alaska, it's hot in Siberia now,
Mhm.
and it's hot by their standards, in Antarctica, and so now you have these different
Yes,
things being
yes,
released. So yes,
if we don't find that balance,
uh-huh.
we are literally putting ourselves at greater risk. We're at greater risk for another global pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We're at greater risk for another, event like
Mhm.
this because we've pushed everything else to the edges.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to say we're at greater risk
Mm-hmm.
because these things have no choice but to exist
Right.
in our, paradigm now.
Right.
That's one of the many ways that just not having any self control, not
Mm-hmm.
having, and it's not like we need it all.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of there are whole neighborhoods, whole houses that are empty. A majority of the land in America is empty.
Right.
You know,
We
uh,
have enough. We have enough houses built right now, today. You know, where we can literally end homelessness. Like
mhm,
no people are out on the streets. Every family, every person can literally have a place to stay out of inclement weather, where they don't get sick, and so they don't have to. So they're not straining hospitals. I mean,
mhm.
very simple things. We have enough of that already,
Yeah, and
right?
we know that doing that will save us money in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just provided homes for these people,
Mm-hmm.
that it would save the system money because now you don't have to send them to jail
Right.
and you don't have to take care of them all
Right.
that for all those years
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. You don't if they get a home
Right.
and if you help them get a job and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
They have an
Then
address. I mean, that
and
means that they
then
can become right.
they start paying taxes and you
Right.
start making a profit.
Right.
Like it's literally more profitable to do that in the long run. But it's this short term gain that
Yeah,
they're going through.
and people and the mindset of the people is that, well,
Mhm.
if you do that, it makes them lazy. So
Or I have to pay for my house.
right.
I got to pay for my house. Why
Right.
they don't have to pay for their house?
Right.
It's like, and it's like
You miss it, like
you're missing the point.
point.
Yeah, you're missing the entire point. Are we trying to get rid of homelessness?
Right.
Give them a home.
Right. And get it over with.
Yeah, and the thing is that you shouldn't have to pay for your
House
house
either.
either. But that doesn't mean that you had that everybody has to, that these people need to stay in homelessness
Right.
because you had to pay for your house.
Right.
See, that's your problem.
Right.
You had to pay for your house.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem in and of itself.
So that's right.
So if the thing is, well, you had to pay for your house, then how about nobody has to pay
Right.
for a home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Since these are things that we need to actually survive,
Right.
how about nobody has to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
and people just get that?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, you're like, but they got to pay for theirs. I got to pay for mine,
Right.
and it's like we're not. This is why we fail.
Right. This is exactly.
This is why we fail. This
Right.
is why nothing changes, and so like I said, we've gotten to a point where we don't have to do these.
That's
things.
right.
We don't have to. We don't have to respect, the natural boundaries of our planet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why we say that there's no one answer for this,
Mm-hmm.
because what we're living with, just from on a topographical level, what we're living with changes, where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the right answer for Chicago?
Right.
Won't necessarily be the right answer for New Orleans.
Right.
Won't be the right answer for New York or
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco,
Or
any
whatever.
of these
Yeah.
cities.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all exist in different, environments,
Mm-hmm.
right? At different places.
Right.
The natural hazards are
Mm-hmm.
different
Mm-hmm.
on those particular regions. So
Mhm.
the answers will vary. They
Mhm.
have to,
Right.
right? But as long as you are taking these things into account
Right.
when you make your decisions, and that's really all that matters. But the thing is that we know this.
Mm-hmm.
We have virologists, and scientists who have been saying this for a very long time.
Right.
This isn't new information.
Right.
But the thing is that we've never we haven't acted upon it.
That's right.
We
We haven't
upon
acted
it.
right.
And when I say we, I mean the people who make these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those people we elect to have our best interests at heart, who are only looking
Mm-hmm.
to maintain their own power and position, not actually looking to implement answers because it's too hard or it's going to cost the taxpayer too much. Right? You see that's never a concern when when we
Military.
get to go to war.
Right. Right.
And
We have
that's
all
no
the money
concern.
then.
Yeah,
Right.
all the money's there. At this
Right.
point.
And
But
we
we just
can answer
saying,
every call.
yeah.
We can get water out of thin air. I mean, we can send the military into any locale. They'll have internet. They have clean water. They'll have everything in places where none of this stuff even exists. That's what we could do.
But you say maybe don't tear down this forest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of natural life here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do something else.
Yeah.
Like, no, but where people want to live? Where
Right.
people like, is this just like I said, the entire mentality?
Right.
It's like we have to choose to live with our world.
Mm-hmm.
We have to say we ain't going nowhere. We
Mm-hmm.
have to choose
Mm-hmm.
to live with everything else.
Right.
We have to choose that, and then we have to make policy.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make changes off of that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes to, like I said, the idea of evolution and revolution.
Right.
Right. I think we've touched on before that human beings we've stopped evolving, in response to the natural world a very long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that has truly led to a lot of our biological change has been dealing with us, has been dealing with other
people.
humans.
Right. That's right.
Has been our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And how we decide to live together, how we, cooperate with each other has truly led to biological change in us, in true evolution. Right? And we come to this place, right? We come to this place where we, like I said, we no longer have to live with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of just exist in our own corners. Right? But if we want to be able to push things in a healthier, more sustainable direction, we have to understand that evolution and revolution.
Mm-hmm.
That revolution is social change.
Correct.
It is truly systemic change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in the last episode, we talked about what we mean by revolution. That the creation of a truly democratic and anarchist society. That's what we mean by revolution.
Right.
That's the revolution. Right? And these things lead to social change. Social change changes our culture. It changes how we treat one another, how we act towards one another. And then our culture leads to evolution.
Right.
Right? So for us, for human beings, evolution and revolution, these things are human powers. This is the things that we can do, and they are in our control to some extent.
Right.
To some extent. We get to choose how we move. We get to choose how we act towards one another, and these things have true biological ramifications.
That's right.
Right?
We have a choice in how we decide to order and conduct ourselves. That's on us.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this before, but that evolution, these things do not always entail progress. They don't always entail like moving forward, and these things don't happen naturally.
Right.
Progress doesn't happen naturally. That's not a natural thing for us. We need to respond to each other.
Right. We have to be intentional.
It's an intentional choice. It's being able to move forward, to push forward. Progress is a choice. Evolution is a choice. Revolution is a choice. Right? They all bleed into one another. They all coincide with one another. So don't think. I've often said that things change. That's the natural state of reality.
Right.
That things change. But that does not always entail progress. That doesn't often entail moving forward. That just means things changed.
And that should sound familiar to a lot of our listeners. Again, particularly if you're familiar with Amos Wilson, he talks about that as well. Is that, movement and progress are two different things. And again, a lot of times we think that change, it means progress, but that's not necessarily the case. We have to be intentional in the progress that we desire. So yeah.
So that is one of the choices. I would say one of the prerequisite choices that we need to make as a society, as a people, before we begin building any new institutions, before we
Yeah.
begin, doing all of that. Like we said, freedom, equality, cooperation,
Solidarity.
solidarity, and you know, nature.
Mm-hmm.
These all we have. All the other life on this planet is dependent on our choice.
That's
No
right.
other life on this planet has a choice.
That's right.
The lions don't have a choice in the world they live in.
Right. We do. Right.
We do. And their lives are truly dependent on what we choose.
That's right.
So we have to choose to be respectful of all the life on this planet. We have to build and live in accordance with it. So we may not be able to have the flexibility and the utter freedom, absolute freedom, to evolve and do whatever we want like we did in the past, like we do now, right? But I mean, I'm sure all the other life on the planet would appreciate being taken into account.
I think that other peoples would appreciate it as well if we were just considerate of each other, decent towards each other, respectful of each other. And I know that sounds lofty and it sounds like platitudes, but really, we've talked about this before, that we are in this situation because of a simple lack of respect and decency towards each other.
And it is, like I said, and it truly it changes us biologically. It has a cost on us. We are evolving and changing in response, because of the world we're living in. Right? This cannot sustain itself.
Right.
So we have to choose to live within our means. And we have to, have means. We have to, put limitations on ourselves. We have to do that. Just for, I would say, for everything's sake. Okay. So let me ask you.
Okay.
What would you think? Like when you think of like a truly democratic society, right? Just on a systemic level, what does that look like to you?
Just being able to answer the call. And what I mean is this. Right now we're having, dire issues with utilities. And when I say, I'm talking electricity, clean water, those type of things, right? We have all the means, the capacity, the tools to do that now. We could fix these things right now. We should be able to do that without, I'm gonna say, the needing permission, the bad policies, the constant, I have to go up to the council board to get this, those type of things.
The bureaucracy.
Yeah, the bureaucracy. I think, to me, it's being able to come together to facilitate and to be able to answer the calls immediately.
And so how would you order that?
I would order that ground up. I think that, let's say, people would come together, right? And they would write up their issues, and then you'll take it to each other. You see how you can answer the call, and then maybe even partner up with others who could probably help you and assist. And then it could be I'm gonna say trade-off, because your group can do something, I don't know, that's they have a different expertise from another group, and you could trade off, and do these things and work together. Just being able to do that. We're not doing that now. So I feel like, for me, it's just being able just to answer these things immediately.
Yeah. Well, the way I think about it is that if I had to make a system, quote unquote, a system out of this, I often said that I don't trust. I don't trust government.
Right.
I don't trust, representatives, and I don't think even in a truly democratic society, I would trust, the people who are meant to represent.
Right. That's what I said. Working the
Yeah,
group and then
so
the group. Right.
that's
Right.
why I would say I think that we would create like I think the best way forward
Mm-hmm.
is we would have say okay the utilities and stuff
Right.
that's a big problem.
Right.
So say all right we're here in Chicago
Mm-hmm.
and we want maybe like some type of we want a solution for the utility problem here in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everybody, the groups,
Mm-hmm.
I say so you have like the group, like the black delegation,
Mm-hmm.
the Latino community,
Right.
the Latino delegation,
Right. Asian
Asian
communities here.
community,
Yeah.
and all these people that
Mm-hmm.
get together and. You also, you have, then there, like I said, there are subgroups even in those groups.
That's right.
There's, black people who are married,
Mm-hmm.
black people unmarried,
Mm-hmm.
straight people, gay
Right.
people, women, men, all this stuff. Everyone is represented in
Mm-hmm.
these particular groups, right? And then those people choose a representative,
Mm-hmm.
someone to represent the interests of their particular group,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then those people go and have a council where they all get together and they present the
Mm-hmm.
issues and we want a solution,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like I said, I don't trust
Right.
that.
Right.
I don't trust that.
Right.
So those people, you know, they present their problems and we get all the experts that we possibly can
Mm-hmm.
on a particular issue,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then with those experts and with everything else in mind, they come up with the plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then they present the plan to the community, to the
Right.
people
Mm-hmm.
as a whole, right? That's all they're there for, as
Mm-hmm.
far as I'm concerned, is to come up with a plan.
That's right.
Is to come up with something and then, try to sell us on it. And then we choose all the people that we choose to put that into action,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then all the people vote.
Mm-hmm.
And if it passes, then it passes, then we put the plan into action. If it doesn't, then they have to go back and come
Right.
up with another plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they can't create a plan and then vote on it and then say, well, that's what it is.
Right. No.
No.
Right.
All you're there for is to make the argument and to make the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Then you come to us. I've often said that I don't understand why the represent. I don't trust y'all to have my best, my interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
You've shown that
That's
you
right.
don't.
That's right.
I don't think that you all should just be able to have just the unilateral power to create and then put into place,
Mm-hmm.
A plan without my consent. That means so everything is just literally based on trust. I have to trust you to do it. I have to trust you to do your job.
Right.
And no,
Right. You've shown
no government,
right.
no government, no matter how it's ordered,
Mm-hmm.
should have that much power.
Mm-hmm.
Should operate in that level of trust.
Right.
So they can create the plan. They can do that. We then get to vote on that plan. And I often say, well, who gets to vote, right? And people often talk about, when when is it, a legal age
Right.
to vote and stuff like that. That's always rubbed me the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
right? I often say that, if you want, people, children, anyone
Mm-hmm.
to get involved, if you want them to be informed,
Mm-hmm.
then give them a reason to be
informed. Right.
If I don't have to vote or care about anything until I'm 18 years old, then why would I take an interest in any of these things? I don't have to, but I do have to.
Right.
Because this is literally the world and, my life. These things have effect on it. But there's no incentive throughout my entire life. I get throughout my entire life, I'm sitting on the background just looking at things. I can't truly, engage in the system. I can't truly. I can't vote. Right? I don't have a voice in the system. And there's no wonder, like, a lot of people end up, like I said, the politically illiterate.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to know who their senators are.
Right.
They don't have to know. They've gone 18 years without knowing.
Right.
And even then, I just say, like, do you know the name of your local senator? I don't know. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to vote. You're an idiot.
Right.
It's because you're 30. So I say that, and I think I've told you this before,
yeah. Uh-huh.
that you get to vote when you learn how to read.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what age.
That's right.
The moment
you
become
learn how to read.
literate,
right.
that's when you get to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guarantee. See, and I was like,
mm-hmm.
okay, I can roll with that because I know what that means for children.
Mm-hmm.
I actually know what that means for adults as well, because I bet you your society would be literate then.
Yeah.
You have this 5-year-old going up there to vote.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's right.
Let them vote.
That's right. And I can read.
Especially when we say that they're going to inherit the world.
That's right.
It's the youth that's going to inherit, and yet they have no voice in shaping the world they're going to inherit.
Right.
They just have to trust that we're going to, do it.
And we tried that already. We saw it. We saw it.
Work.
Right.
Evidently, we don't have their best interest at heart.
Right.
Right. So I say the moment you learn how to read,
mm-hmm.
that's when you get to take part in political discourse.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And a lot of you all wouldn't even be in your positions if that was the case.
Yeah.
I mean, just think. We know the dynamic will completely change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the thought of something like that. Of 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12-year-olds, being involved in that type of decision making,
mm-hmm.
because now they're responsible for their choices as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I say ain't nothing. No one's innocent.
Right.
No one's innocent. The blood's on all our hands, even
mm-hmm.
the children. We're
mm-hmm.
all living in a world of oppression.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're like we talked about, these Chinese sweatshops making these cell phones and people who like suicide nets, and it's like, yeah, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in a society that puts people in concentration camps
right.
over there in China.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know this is the case,
mm-hmm.
but we're still buying phones,
right.
and buying shoes,
right,
and
going about our business, right?
Even though that's slavery,
right? Yeah,
all of us are complicit in that,
mm-hmm.
but not all of us actually have a voice in
right.
being able to change that. We don't have the power to change. We just have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to do? Just not have the food?
Mm-hmm.
Not have a phone. I need a phone,
right?
I need internet and stuff,
right?
And so it's like, what? But we didn't tell them to do this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the power to say, hey, don't do that anymore.
Right.
Right. We have to trust that they are going to take that into consideration
right.
at some point.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's worked. Right.
And I think I've talked about before on this, where I talked about, well, if there's a disagreement.
Yeah.
If there's a
y'all want to fight it out over something?
If there's
you have to write an essay.
Yeah, you're right. You have to write an essay.
Write an essay.
And there's debate.
Mm-hmm.
If like I think I talked about this before, but if there's say that there's a pocket of land, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want that land.
Right.
Or say that, okay. What's another city in Illinois?
Peoria.
Yeah.
Champaign, whatever.
Champaign,
right, whatever.
All I know is Chicago.
Right.
I'm sure there's other places. But say that and say that there's a company, right, coming,
mm-hmm.
and they have this new innovation. They're going to create this new thing.
Uh-huh.
They're going to open up a factory and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And Chicago wants that company
right.
to come and open up its factory and stuff in the city.
Uh-huh.
And also,
PR
right. wants, this company
mm-hmm.
to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what that means?
Right. Time to write it out.
There needs to be
needs to be some discourse.
A discourse.
That's right.
And there needs to be a debate.
Right.
So the people of Peoria, they get their people together. They can hire a professional debater. They can hire whomever they want. Get get your debate. Get
Right.
your people, get your team together.
Right.
Chicago got the money. They go take people
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
and then boom,
Right.
let them debate the point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your judges,
Mm-hmm.
who are people not who have no interest in it. They come from all over,
Right.
the country.
Right.
Somebody
They
from
come
here,
out of New Mexico or something.
from wherever.
Right. Right.
Somebody from California, somebody from New York,
Right.
somebody from Arkansas, whomever.
Right.
Right? Just experts
Mm-hmm.
who come in, they sit down, and they judge.
Right.
And based on the strength of your argument,
Mm-hmm.
and your strength of your argument alone, if you are able to argue your point on why it should be here, why it should be there, or why it shouldn't be here, all that stuff, you do your whole debate.
Mm-hmm.
You get it on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then the judges, they they grade you on your points and on the strength of your arguments and how the argument was made. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And all that.
Right.
And then they choose. Well, I think Pierre made better point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Right. That's it. That's all.
That's it. You go on appeal.
Right.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying. If you want, a bank loan,
right,
stuff like that, write an essay.
Write an essay. That's right.
Write an essay.
Right. Oh, we got this.
Yeah.
Over here, we got.
And it could be in whatever language.
Yeah.
Whatever language you think you're the strongest in.
Mm-hmm.
Write that essay.
Right.
We'll look at that as
Mm-hmm.
no commas, places, no shifts and tense. All right. All right.
We're good to go.
Good to go.
Good to go.
That's how we're running now.
Right.
That's even on the global level.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the global level.
Right.
There's a country with oil.
Right.
Like we have oil. America's like, I want that oil.
Right.
Maybe China's like, no, I want that oil.
Let's get it on. We
No
tanks.
No
tanks.
Wars.
Right. No proxy wars.
Or here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start a terrorist organization over there, and then we're gonna fund them silently. Nah.
No, we're gonna write an essay.
Nah, get your people.
Yep. We're gonna write his essay.
Johnny Cochran and them. Go get the best and brightest debaters that you possibly can. Get your lawyers. Get your people. China, you go get your people.
Right.
We'll have an international commission oversaw by the UN.
Whoever. We don't care.
Get your people.
Who's going to have the best argument?
Give the best argument. Boom.
Write the essay, whatever.
Right. Do your thing.
Yeah.
And then it'll be judged and what? Then that's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's how we do it now.
Right. No more battles. No more bloodshed.
I said leave all the violence for the movies.
Right.
Because that's the only place where it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
John Wick is cold in the movies.
Right. But if John Wick was
out here in real life.
Like in the streets, come on now.
You can't be shooting people. Right? So yeah. That's how I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have, a system of government where you have a lot of regional councils,
mm-hmm.
That are comprised of all of the groups and people who stay in these
mm-hmm.
particular regions, who make choices, and these people vote on who make plans, and
mm-hmm.
their representatives make plans, and the people vote to put these plans into place.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and obviously taking everything into consideration for their particular region,
mm-hmm.
right, all over the country. And then when something big happens for a particular region, then maybe a lot of these councils to come together and try to create something, that extends for that entire region
mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And there's something that affects the entire country, and everybody gets together.
But it's people working with people,
and I think stuff like that.
Right, and I think a lot of times what has been happening is that we really don't understand the ramifications of the decisions that I'm gonna say your politicians are making in DC. We don't. I'm not in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in, the Appalachia area. I'm not in Kentucky. I'm not even in Flint.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? But
there are people who are.
That's right.
Who know better than us.
That's right.
Know better than their representatives.
That's right.
What they need.
And what their needs are, we have more than enough
mm-hmm.
to answer that need.
And if we don't have, the necessary, at least now we know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get to work on that.
Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't take, I'm going to say, an act of Congress
Yeah.
to get what it is that is needed to remedy these issues. It's really that. It's about being able to answer that call immediately when the answer needs to be called.
Yeah, so that's how I would order. I think everyone, you should get the right to vote when you learn how to read. I think everything should be solved with debates and eloquent arguments and well thought out and crafted essays.
Right. We got this. We got this.
And I think that should be standard going forward.
So how am I going to get paid? How am I going to make money?
Hey, look, do your job.
Yeah.
And if you want a pay raise, write an essay.
Right.
And there is a commission.
Right.
It's not all up to your boss.
Right.
There's a commission who judges the validity of your claims and looks at your essay. And they judge it. Well, that essay, boom, you got to give them the pay raise.
Right. Again, see? We can solve.
And if we do things right, just from a political level,
you wouldn't even need to be doing all that anyway.
And nothing more about just how about we get rid of money?
Right.
Let's just get rid of that altogether. No more money. Everything's solved by essays. Everything's solved with essays and eloquent arguments.
We're gonna change the paper from greenbacks to 8x10 sheets.
Yes.
that you can write your essay on.
Mm-hmm.
It can be handwritten or you can type. It doesn't matter.
Like I've also said, everybody should have everything that they need to be a functioning citizen.
Right.
Right. If you say that they need house, that they need the internet, if they need food and water and electricity,
right,
then how is it possible for people to not have these things?
Right.
I need a heart.
Right.
to live.
Right.
So I get one.
Right.
I need a heart. I need blood. So I have heart and blood, air.
Right.
I don't have to pay for these things. These are things that I have because I need them to live. So if I need, for me to function as a citizen, these are the things that I need. Then it should not be possible for me to not have these things.
Right. It's
regardless of the cost.
Right.
Like we can just get rid of that.
Or what you want to say, circumstances or bad decisions. That's those are adjectives there.
Everyone gets to vote.
Right.
Everyone gets to vote. Even you could be. I don't care your criminal record. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care what you did. I don't care what you done. Right, because that's one of the things that happen. Like when you get a criminal record,
right,
you lose your right to vote.
Right.
And then you need to, try to convince people to give you back. If you get that choice.
Right.
If you get that option, you have to convince them to give you your right to vote back.
Right.
And we know whom that affects the most.
Right. Right.
And now we have to hope that maybe they give it no. So that's the thing.
Right.
If that's what society needs to function,
right,
then it's not a luxury.
Right.
You get the vote. Period. It doesn't matter your political. It doesn't matter your criminal record. You get the vote, whether you've been rehabilitated or not.
Right. You tell me it's my right. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a whole other concept. You telling me this my right? I have a right to this.
I should not be able to lose a right. Prisoners in jail should get the vote.
Right.
And
it's their right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if you ask me, what do we do with jails? What do we do with prisoners? I just said it, rehabilitation.
Right.
Rehabilitation.
Well, you can't rehabilitate everybody.
That's a regional thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Right.
But that's the goal. It's not punitive.
Right.
It's rehabilitative. For the whole country.
Right. And look, we know where our answers lie. Like, yeah, we know where they are. We know how to respond to the person who's a shoplifter versus the person who's a murderer. Like,
and I'm just not comfortable with giving any government the power to kill people.
Right.
I don't think that's how So I think when someone should get arrested,
Mm-hmm.
right? That obviously, and you know how I think the police ought to be operated. We've talked about that before,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And how these communities ought to be, police and stuff like that. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked about that before. But if it bears repeating, you know, so I don't think there should be one police force that's. I think that if you're homeless, then instead of a police officer, you get a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having mental health issues, you have like an emergency doctor who's
Right.
sent out who's able to
Mm-hmm.
diffuse the situation and stuff like that. And I think that like you can't drop the hammer on everybody.
I'm about to say,
It's only at
most
particular times.
yeah, most of the issues that you confront in your community, it doesn't even require
Yeah,
a police.
yeah,
Doesn't
and it
even
could be
require that.
solved by a communal full of people who are in that community who
Right.
actually know
What's going on?
what's
Right.
going on. They can do
Mm-hmm.
that, right? And if somebody gets arrested, then and I say then the community votes on which like if a real major offense takes place, like
Mm-hmm.
a murder or sexual assault and stuff like that, you hear the trial, you hear the facts, everyone, then the whole community votes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think should happen? Should this person be given a chance, or how do you think? People they put their plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think should happen to this person?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Boop, 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 boop. Do we all get a vote?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the vote is kill them, they need to go, then that's it. That's the vote.
Excommunicato.
Yeah, and that's the vote. Like you did something that bad to me, everybody like, yeah, all right, you got to
Yeah.
go.
Well, yeah.
Then that's us making that choice,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're like, rehabilitative, I give them a chance, send them some
Mm-hmm.
anger management, whatever
Right.
stuff like that. We get to have that choice.
Right. But here's the thing: is that we say that crime, that it comes from poverty, that
Mhm.
poverty breeds
Yeah.
this kind of crime, right? So if we are operating in this true democratic
Mhm.
way, then what poverty, right? If you because what is it?
Yeah.
You don't have a home, you don't have this, all of those things. That's poverty, right? So when you have those needs being met, you have your home,
Excuse
you have everything that you need, to be a functioning citizen.
hmm
Well, what's the likelihood of quote unquote crime then?
Yeah.
When you don't have poverty, when you don't have that.
Yeah.
What's the like?
Yeah. So before you, like I said, you can't just
Right,
arrest people.
right.
You have to take measures that addresses the situation that makes people feel like these are the choices that they have to make.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that before.
Right.
But like I say, if you, because that's one of people always. So in conclusion, right? In conclusion, there's no one way
Mm-hmm.
a stateless society is supposed to look. That's why we talk about the prefigurative politics.
Right.
Is that you make your revolution look like what you want
Right.
your society to look like.
Right.
So people get used to living in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to see what works and see what doesn't and change those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're not stuck in it because of some law or rule, whatever the case may be.
Because you have that's just what it is.
Right.
No, you're prefiguring, which means that gives you the flexibility to see what works and see what doesn't and change accordingly. Right? And so there's no one answer for what everyone is going to have to do. Right? Like I said, the one answer is the values.
Right.
That's the one thing. That's the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
But you allow for people in particular regions, in particular places, to do what needs to be done for that particular region.
To answer the call, right?
To answer the call.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, like I said, and if you want it to be ordered a particular way, we've given our opinions on what that should look like.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just our opinion on what it's supposed to be. Right? That's how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the true answer lies in what we feel and how we order ourselves and how we put that into place.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So as long as everyone has a choice, everyone is free to have a voice and is represented and truly has the power to shape their society. Every last one of us. As long as that's the case, we can build from that basis.
Right.
And a stateless society, a true stateless society, is one that is meant to give everyone that choice, because that is the easiest and surest way to make sure that we don't get this.
Right.
That we're not oppressing one another.
Right.
We're not controlling one
another. Right. We see in our current structure where voices are literally omitted, where people are denied access. We see the results of that today. And so in this stateless society, everyone will matter. Your voice will be heard. It will count. It will mean something. The weight of your decision will literally impact others. But I'm gonna say in a respectful and much more positive way, versus how
in a communal way.
In a communal way versus how things are done now.
Whether it goes from being imposed,
right,
to being implemented,
right,
communally.
Yes.
So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments, and thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you so much.